We're going to start now. Okay. Good evening and welcome to Citizen Airwire, the platform where we speak truth to power. I have the pleasure in bringing on board a great African. As you all know, we do a lot of work about Africa. We talk about all things Africa on this platform. And we recognize that there is a new reawakening going on in Africa. To that end, we are looking to meet as many Africans as possible who are committed to this struggle to awaken Africa and to bring Africa back as one, to rise like the phoenix. I have the pleasure in introducing to you my brother, friend. He's an academia, a Pan Africanist. His name is Lazare. Welcome on board, Lazare. It's a pleasure to have you on here. Please say a few words to our people before we go ahead and discuss further. Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay, Anisu, I greet you in my Mandingo mother tongue. It means a good evening.
Good evening.
Here, I'm very far from you, brother Ayo.
I'm in UK.
Now it's the morning here. It's quite
I'm grateful. Thank you.
11,
Thank you for giving us the time.
11,
Wow.
11, and for the pleasure to talk with you, I'm deferring my breakfast for a
Wow.
few minutes.
Okay. Yes. Yes. Thank you. Thank you.
No, no,
Thank
no,
you.
no. So I'm really happy to meet you and to meet someone from the Yoruba nation, from Nigeria, from England, UK. I'm really happy to meet you.
Likewise. Likewise. Thank you so much. Um, One of the things that how we got to meet briefly, we have a friend, James DeBoy.
Sure, sure.
He's from the UK. I'm from Liverpool area. His dad
Mm,
is I'm from Ijo, and he that's how we connected. We've had him on this platform, and I've been on his
mm,
platform as well. So that's the
mm,
connection right there. And he's very pro Pan Africanism, and he's not even
mm,
he's part African.
mm,
But what I love about James is that he is actually pioneering things that would not ordinarily be happening. He's going to other
mm,
places around the world, meeting other black people, making us know that it's possible for us to interact and connect, devoid of the restrictions placed in our way by the current system. So I'm really quite pleased about that. So in the
thanks,
discussions we
thanks.
were having, he mentioned your
Mm,
name. And he said, yeah, it'll be good for you to meet Lazar. And I thought, okay. And then so here we are. It is a
yes,
great, great, great pleasure. Now,
yes.
tell me, I'm going to ask this question about Thomas Sankara, about Ibrahim Traore,
Mm,
and of course, all of that, how that fits into um, Pan Africanism. What are your thoughts coming from Burkinabe, which,
mm,
as you do, how does
mm,
that make you feel? How do you think, in the role that Burkina Faso, Niger, and Mali are playing in having a unit whereby if you
mm,
attack one, you attack all? How do you
mm.
see? How do you see? Is that not a great foundation, or how do you see that?
Well, we African, we know that the borders we have, because today we are nationals from different countries.
Yeah,
You are Nigerian, I'm from Burkina Faso,
exactly.
and part of my family is from Mali. Sometimes at the same borders, the uncle is in the other country.
Yeah,
When there
exactly.
are ceremonies, families
Yeah,
have to cross the borders.
indeed.
Actually, for them, it's not a border. So I think it's important. This project for me, it's hope. It's hope. The word for me is hope, because we want to have a greater union, a greater Africa.
Hmm.
And we know that if you bring these people together, it's almost 70 millions
Yeah,
people,
indeed.
and it's more energy.
Hmm.
We African, when we know that you come together, you dance together, there is a special energy. what Bob
Absolutely.
Marley Bob Marley said, a natural mystic that is
Exactly. Yes.
coming from the connection.
Yeah.
It's what we call Ubuntu. So
Yeah.
for me, I hope, I really hope this union, this time it will work. It will work. There was a federation between Mali, Senegal. It didn't work, but I hope this
This
time
is
it
gonna.
will work. It's sure. It's
It's,
sure. People say, okay, it's difficult.
mhm.
Maybe if you start moving, then you
Yes.
have to move. You have
Exactly.
to move. We
Indeed.
must help. We must help to. Everybody must try to do something so
Indeed.
that these unions can live much longer, very long, for
Indeed.
a long time. So for me, it's a sign of hope. I hope it will continue.
I like that word, hope, a sign of hope. I like that.
Mm.
It is something we need to grasp onto. And hope can often open the door to real possibilities of actually having a united Africa. We know we
Mhm.
face enormous battles. I mean, everybody now sees it that France and UK, US, they've got bases, military bases across the whole of Africa, and all the wars that are happening in Africa stems from these countries, including Germany, having bases. And those bases, they pretend that they are keeping peace, but they
Mhm.
are actually promoting war.
Mhm.
As an academia and
Mhm.
a Pan Africanist, how do you see that again in terms of the union of Niger, Burkina and Mali? How do you what should the youth be doing in Africa?
You know, we in the 60s, in 1960, we had what we called independence.
Yes. Oh, is
But
it with
now,
independence?
it's what I want to say.
Ah,
Now we
okay. Go
are
ahead. Sorry.
talking.
Yes, go ahead.
Some people have have said we need a second independence.
Mm.
It means just it's not just to have a flag that means you are independent. It means you can solve your old
Oh,
problems by yourself.
self.
If you are independent at any time, you have to be helped. You need assistance
Yeah.
for your security,
Mm-hmm.
for your food,
Mm-hmm.
so you are not independent.
Exactly.
It's what we call sovereignty.
Yeah.
You cannot be independent and not be sovereign.
Yeah.
So I think we need today to have a new content for this independence.
Mm-hmm.
We need to bring the armies together, to
Mm-hmm.
bring the universities together,
Together.
to have a strong scientific community. Even people from the diaspora, from Nigeria, from everywhere, can come and help and say, here they are starting something new. So we must put our brains, our energy together
Together.
to help them. Because we talked about hope, but there is another negative vibration, which is fear. People fear that this is too difficult and it will be difficult to, but when you hope, you have energy, the ancestors come with you and give you strength to do something you cannot even imagine.
Conceptualize.
So yes, so I think we must support. It's difficult and there are mistakes. It's true. Everybody makes some mistakes, but we
Absolutely.
must come together and help them go in the right direction.
Direction.
Particularly the youth from the three countries, the workers, they must help them avoid certain mistakes.
Fantastic. I mean, that's very much my thinking as well. But oftentimes, because I'm in, hey James, welcome on board. He's just giving us a
Hello,
quick
James.
nod. Welcome, James. Welcome aboard. Great to have you. We'll have to do a show another time where we bring James and many of us on. We need to build this network to make it wider and wider. So, James,
Sure, sure.
thank you very much for the connection with my brother here, Lazare, and we're having a live discussion. And thanks for joining us. And please do share, those of you watching. You're, of course, watching Citizen Wide, the platform where we speak truth to power. But now the next thing I wanted to do is tell me a little bit about yourself in terms of Pan-Africanism, and if you want to talk about yourself personally and I think as Africans we need to try and know our roots, where you come from. You know, I mean, within reason. Don't go into things that will be compromising, if you like, but where you feel comfortable and safe. Yeah.
Yes. I was born, as I said, in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso. My father was a historian. He passed in 2006. Joseph Kizerbo. He is a famous historian, but his books are not translated in English. All the books.
Yes.
But if you heard from about the general history of Africa of UNESCO, which is online, he was the director of the first volume. He was a director.
Wow, interesting.
And
I didn't know that.
Yes, from the mother side, they came from Mali. So I don't know what to say. I'm mixed because it's the same.
Well,
I'm not mixed. It's the same.
We're Africans.
So,
the thing is, we're Africans.
So there's no mix.
And this conception of Anglophone, Francophone, I actually I detest it, because it's making us kind of crazy as a people. It's putting some kind of schizophrenia in our midst, because you are trying to you cross this line, you can't speak English. You cross that line, you can't speak French. You know, but my own language means nothing. What do you mean? You know,
we must mix. We must mix now. We must abandon all these categories and mix, because Yoruba can speak with Yoruba in Benin.
Thank you.
Directly, without French.
That's it.
So I attended a military school.
Okay.
But when I was 18, I decided to I had a very good, excellent professor in philosophy. So I wanted to study philosophy, and I studied in Paris. I made this military school in Saint Louis in Senegal, and it's a school where other people from many countries came. So I had to meet people from Senegal, people from Gabon, from Cote d'Ivoire. So it is also a Pan-African experience.
Oh.
When you go to a school where there are people
from different
other countries,
parts of the
and you hear many
languages.
Yes, all this has contributed to build my Pan-African consciousness. So after that, I studied philosophy, and I had also good English teachers. So it helps me read the Pan-African story, because Pan-Africanism, good parts of the Pan-African movement came from USA, from Jamaica.
Marcus
So
Garvey,
I was
Martin Luther King,
Du Bois,
Malcolm X, Du Bois.
Yes. So I was able to read directly because my co-citizens from Burkina, they don't read English, so maybe they don't have this access to. So all this, and the music also, the reggae music, all this contribute to build our consciousness. Music is still playing an important educating role. Music, because through music we know that we share a common spirit. If you hear Fela, or you hear the Congolese music, you know you share the same thing. All this is important. But in our education, in schools, there are certain things we forgot. We don't use enough. this all this tradition, all this heritage of music in
Mm.
our schools.
Mm.
So this is what we must do to transform the way we are teaching our children,
Yes.
our students. Yes. Mm.
Fantastic, fantastic. No, no. Thank you for giving us an insight into yourself,
Mm.
and you know your background and your academia, and of course your obvious passion for Pan Africanism. It's really really important. Now we're just gonna do a little bit more digging. You talked about music. It's interesting. I heard about Bob Marley because you mentioned Bob Marley earlier on. And one of the songs with Bob Marley that I sing myself, I sing a little bit, and
Okay,
so
okay,
I do a
okay.
little bit. It's part of me. I was born with that, but I didn't really take it
You
serious.
have many gifts.
Yeah. So um, Bob Marley's song. It goes, emancipate yourself from mental slavery.
Slavery,
None but ourselves can free our
none but
minds.
ourselves can
Have no fear for
have no
atomic
fear,
energy, cause
energy,
none of it can stop at the
the
time.
time.
How long must they
Long
kill our
serve the people
prophets?
prophets,
Whilst we
and
stand
we
aside
stand
and
aside
look.
and look.
Oh, some say it's just a part of it. We've got to fulfill the book.
Yes, yes,
Won't
yes.
you
My brother
help to
have to
sing?
sing
This song of
songs of
freedom is
freedom.
all I ever had. Oh yeah, redemption song. So those lines, you see, I was listening to Bob Marley many years ago. I just listened to the song. I didn't listen to the words. Oh, it's good music. Oh yeah, it didn't, you know. But after the incident I told you back in 2005 and the accident and all of that, something
Mm.
changed. I listened to the music and the words just came flooding back, and I was like, "Geez, this is what this guy's talking about. He's sending us a message. This guy's sending us a message, you know."
Sure,
And when you talked about that, I had to just bring that into this discussion. How
sure.
the music that our kids our youths are doing now, it's great. You know, they're doing Afro music, and the world likes it. I think you and I and others we have a role to play in making sure that music has this Pan Africanist message in it within our communities. I don't know what are your thoughts on that? How do you, yeah,
No, it is sure. This comes from our tradition. Music is part of the education. Music, we don't go to concerts like this just to dance and no, music is a social education
yeah,
tool.
mm,
Huh? When you tell a story to the children
yeah,
at certain times, you stop and sings. Huh? You
yeah,
say, okay, the animal, the lion or the
mm-hmm,
hyena, when she
yeah,
came in in the bush,
mm-hmm,
she start singing,
mm-hmm,
saying this.
yeah,
So it's part of the education
it is,
for us. So today we have a certain conception of music. It's like
yeah,
entertainment,
yeah,
dancing in the nightclubs. Yeah. So we have to connect and see that there's no music without a message.
exactly.
No music without a
I
message,
like that.
without a meaning, without a meaning. We sing to educate your spirit to learn something. So
Yeah,
all this is important, and I think reggae has perpetuated this tradition
wow.
to use music as
Mm-hmm.
a means
As
of resistance.
mm-hmm,
Uh,
mm-hmm.
without reggae, Jamaica will not be what it is,
It
and
is
Africa will not be what it is. So reggae is really part of our tradition. We
indeed.
must put more reggae in the schools.
Yes.
It's not just bad ideas about the Rasta and reggae. No, it's a means of education.
Mm. Mm.
Mm.
We thank you very much for that. And obviously, I can hear from the way you're talking about things, there is an academia side from your discussions, because you are looking at sharing knowledge down to the roots of our nations and of Africa. So thanks for that insight, I can see everything that you're saying, and I can see the connection, and I'm really grateful that you are able to disseminate this information, and I hope many of our youth will be listening to this and actually take it on board. Now, you talked about free movement in Africa in our earlier discussion, and I want you to paint me a picture of how that would actually be of great benefit to Africa, and actually, to enrich Africa and actually free us from this bondage.
It's important because our people, we have always moved. There are many migration in our history. In West Africa, in Southern Africa, there was always free movement, especially between the north, the Sahel region, and the coast.
Mm-hmm.
The products, the most famous product we use to share is the cola
Yeah,
nuts.
cola nuts. Yes, obi. We call it obi in Yoruba.
Yes, obi. It does not grow in Burkina Faso. You have to take it to Ghana. You have to go to Kumasi in Ghana to take it. So movement is exchange, sharing product, sharing ideas also, because when you come, you bring new ideas. Today, we have these passports. It's difficult to move. You have these borders. There is corruption. The policemen, they want to take money from you. So it's very important that um, we are able to move from one country to another. For instance, take I'm an academic. You say, take English. If to teach English, maybe it will be good to have people from Ghana or Nigeria in Niger or Burkina Faso. But we we a teacher in Nigeria will not have this idea because he said, I don't know people there. They speak French. It's a foreign country.
It's a mental barrier right there.
Mental barrier. Or imagine how we could move quickly to teach foreign language to our kids if someone from Lagos or from Ibadan came in Abidjan or Ouagadougou to teach English. So all this is really important. People are moving. Actually, people are moving. Despite all this barrier,
Restrictions, they're still
all this
moving
passport,
nonetheless.
they keep on moving. So, but the problem is if there were not these barriers, but the movement will be easier, and it will be very important for our economies, for our culture.
Fantastic, fantastic. Very good answer, and thanks for again that clarification. I really like the deep thinking that's behind it. I can see that there's a lot of thought process in the answer that you give, and the passion that you want. The passion for Africa just shines. It just shines like a light.
These
And yeah,
questions are, are really, when you say igniting, it's true, because it's difficult for me to stay quiet when I speak about this kind of question.
I know. Now, in terms of trade, because the trade was our greatest strength, but it was our greatest weakness. That was what both the Arabs and the Europeans used to penetrate Africa. And when they got the trade, when they got their claws in, they started introducing things like treaties. Treaties is simply meaning another name for trade for them to use and control you. In what we're trying to do now, in the new Africa that we're trying to build, I mean, we're not going to specifics about what we're going to do in detail, but just touching on things to start switching up ideas of people. Now, this idea of trade in Africa, there must be ways we can regain that power of trade among ourselves, because I think that's probably where we need to go. Talk to me about that from an academic point of view.
Okay, it's true I'm not a specialist of economy trade, but what
Yeah.
I know is that all the countries which are said to be developed today, it's a word that we must it's a word we must discuss. It's a word we must discuss. All these countries at a certain times they have kind of closed their borders to protect. You cannot ask our countries to come in the free trade in the world, with countries which are industrialized like European countries like Japan. No, it's not possible. We have to first protect so that the Nigerian industry can send
Can
its
go.
products
Yes.
in the neighboring countries and also accept
From
products
the neighbor countries.
from the neighboring countries. Uh, we have also to control our currency. We cannot use a currency that is controlled from outside. So these are the kind of things we must, in the coming years, try to control. I know there are some treaties for free trade in the continent, but often we have yes treaties, but it's not applied. So what we need now is really to promote our products in, for instance, West Africa, consume what we produce, and not. There are certain things we can produce on our soil and consume, not always importing things. So transform little by little, transform our food. This is easy to transform our food so that we have a kind of agri business. So these are the kind of things we must do, and people have already started to transform our agricultural products, and we must go further
Go
in
further
that
in that.
direction. Yes.
Fantastic. Now, this is exactly, I mean, everything you said there are concepts which I have been playing around with and trying to sort of, okay, how can we do this? And again, it's really very, very, it's clear. It's not complicated. I was thinking something as you were answering the question. Now, Africa could indeed feed the world because we have about 30 to 65% of the world's fertile land. But instead, the
Sure.
world, we are getting grains from Ukraine. Can you believe?
Yes, this is, this is a scandal. A scandal. It's because we grow things we want to sell. Yes, we are very great producers of cocoa. Don't know,
Mm?
is it cocoa in
Cocoa, it's cocoa, yes.
the chocolate?
Yeah,
How we
it is,
call
yeah.
it in
It's
cocoa,
cocoa, yes.
and or coffee.
Yes,
But
exactly.
you don't eat coffee.
No,
You, it's
we have to
because there
grow what
was
we
this.
need to eat.
Yes, we have this colonial economy where we were taught to produce coffee, to sell it
Mm-hmm.
for outside, for the
Mm-hmm.
pleasure of European people. But the most important is cassava,
Mm-hmm.
yam,
Mm-hmm.
or
Mm-hmm.
millets, and
Mm-hmm.
transform it for the local consumers and producers. This is the most important. So these are the kind of things the youth must understand,
Mm.
and in every field, also in the field of agriculture,
Mm-hmm.
try to improve our production and improve the way we can transform our produce for our self consumption.
Fantastic. On just on that, I remembered something. there was a program I watched some time ago, and they were talking about ideas of how they were going to help Africa grow food faster and everything else. And do you know that they had to go back and use ideas that came from Africa back in centuries ago to actually help growing food? So I was like,
Sure,
we
sure.
have our own solutions that their solutions could not match. You know, sorry, I'm just
Sure,
they
sure.
couldn't match it. Isn't that interesting?
Yes, yes. You take, for instance, the rice. But rice, we have the rice in Niger,
Yes,
which
yes,
flows from Guinea to
yeah,
Nigeria.
exactly,
There is a culture, there are very old uh, seeds of rice in the
exactly,
sub-region.
yes,
So there was water, plenty of water, but because of all these historical shocks, we we were kind of disturbed.
mm-hmm.
But now it's a past. Now we must
Deal
go
with it.
ahead. There is a center. It's making me think about a center in Benin,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
in Porto Novo. It's
Mm-hmm.
called the Songhai
Yeah,
Songhai Center. It's
fantastic.
a very famous center where they have improved also the techniques of. So we have some solution, but the will and the support of the states
Mm-hmm.
to that is what is lacking sometimes.
Okay. Okay, now I'm going to ask you questions about organizations that we have on the continent of Africa. Unfortunately, ECOWAS and African Union, they are bodies that pretend to support Africa, but we know very well they are not bodies for Africa. They are puppet bodies. How can we, this is where we talked about the youth and everything else. I'm sure the youths have a role to play in that somehow. I don't know if do you get what I'm saying. Does that? What are your thoughts on that?
Yes, it's what we call the economic communities.
Like West African
It's a
states,
good
ECOWAS,
idea.
yeah,
Yes, it's a good idea. We have in West Africa, we
hmm
have in
in
other
East
regions.
Africa,
It's a good,
yes,
yes, it's a good idea. ECOWAS I think Nigeria played a role with
yes,
General Yakubu Gowon.
that's correct, yes,
There are it's people who have tried to do what they could at that time. But when you get, it's what we were talking about. When you take your money, the funds
hmm
from outside, even if you take funds, you must say, okay, I need funds for this vision. But if you take money and the people who give you the money say, now you have taken my money, you must do that. No, it's not possible. It's why people talk about the Africa of the peoples,
yes,
Africa of the peoples, not
hmm
Africa of
of the
the governments. eh? So for me, in every sector, whether it is the youth, whether is it women, whether
hmm
is it the journalists,
hmm
we have to create networks of people that will come together
hmm
and give this movement for a true unity, a unity that comes from below
hmm
and not from
from above,
because if from in the upper class,
yes,
they are there are much influences from the so-called donors. But when
yes.
these donors came, they give you money, but after
Af-
they want to
they
give
put
you also
conditions.
orders to do that or that. So we must change our mind and um, work together
hmm
directly, not
hmm
wait that the government or the community tells no. We must come together directly
Directly,
and create
organic,
connections.
organically
Yes,
on the ground.
organic is a good word. The good work. Word,
Yeah,
sorry.
yeah. Speaking on this idea of mindset, uh, I used to be a Christian. I am no longer a Christian. Um, because I've realized, as I spoke to you moments before, Christianity for me, I found latterly, as I understood it, that it was actually brainwashing me, and it actually was making me hate myself as a black person. Now, I know Europeans will find that difficult to hear, and they will, because that's their religion and that's what they believe in. I understand that, but on the African continent, the religions of Islam and Christianity has actually brainwashed us to actually do things that are harming our own society. I wonder, have you come across that, and how do you think, is it not time for us as Africans in our community to begin to actually jettison these religions, foreign religions, away from us, because they're foreign to us. They're not going to profit us. They're not going to benefit our communities. In my view, what are your thoughts on that? Thank you.
Well, it's it's not an easy question for me, because last time I told to James that I'm Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm a Catholic, and I understand this movement. There is a movement, a strong movement,
Mm-hmm.
saying we must leave and abandon that. Okay, for me, I have a different opinion.
That's fine.
I
Please,
think you
let's hear
can
it.
be,
Yes. Yes.
you can be, you can be. It's a debate, and people are
Of course,
discussing.
and we need to.
You can
That's
be,
that's this is the beauty about it. Yes, please go ahead. I encourage
you
that.
can be, you can be Catholic and Pan Africanist. I
Okay.
take the example of the churches in South Africa,
Mm.
the churches in the USA.
Mm-hmm.
They have been they are places of resistance.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
They have created the Ethiopian church,
Mm-hmm.
even the Rasta church. It's some certain parts come from the Bible, but
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
have transformed.
Mm-hmm.
Julius Nyerere in Tanzania was Catholic.
Yeah.
So for me, your identity, it's what you can bring your identity in your faith.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because in the church, in an African church, if you dance and you sing in your African language, are you not African?
You are.
If you take a church in
You are.
Ouagadougou, and
Indeed.
you take a church in London or
Mm-hmm.
Paris, it's not the same.
Mm-hmm.
What is to be changed is the fact that our bishops and rulers of the African Church, uh, they sometimes they are more European than the European, but they have to allow that in the churches in Africa, we use our language, we use our dance, we put our spirits
Okay.
in this faith. If you do that, for
Mm-hmm.
me,
Mm.
you are still an African, because you can be maybe you will say you come back to the African tradition, but if you don't live like the values of the African um, wisdom, what is the most important? The values of the faith of the religions is what is love, solidarity,
Mm.
care for each other.
Mm.
So this I think is you can find it in the in the church, and whether you can find it in the
Mm-hmm.
African religion.
Mm-hmm.
The why people are rejecting Christianism is because they say uh, they have compromised with the slave trades. The popes have said, okay, these people, you can enslave them, you have to give them Catholic names. But uh, Africa has a long history. First, Ethiopia, Tunisia, Algeria, the first Christian was there.
Yes.
There were no slaves
You're right.
in
You're right.
Ethiopia.
They were never. Yes. You're right.
There was not
You're right.
slaves.
I get.
And to end with that, even for me, it's a question. It's a question. Um, if you understand that the Christian faith is based on the African faith
Absolutely,
taken
absolutely.
from the temples, from the
Of
pyramids.
Ethiopia from Labella.
So yes, why will you say, okay, I'm leaving this faith as long as it comes also from the pyramids? We know that Moses was in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Moses was in Egypt.
Mm-hmm.
Even Jesus himself.
Or
Uh,
Yeshua, more
we,
relevant, Yeshua.
Yeshua, he went
Mm-hmm.
to Egypt with his parents, with
Mm-hmm.
his father
Mm-hmm.
Joseph.
Mm-hmm.
So for me, we must be open.
Mm-hmm.
You must be open. You can keep from. It
Mm.
is a compromise I have found.
Yeah.
I keep my Catholic faith, but
Yes.
I give it an African content.
Okay. Now, it's very interesting, and I'm thank you for bringing in that side where you talked about the African Christianity, which is the base of the religion. I admit that. The issue is that the Eurocentric Christianity, however, has pervaded Africa, and what that
Mhm.
has done is that it demonized. The problem I found, it demonized African deities, and that is problematic. Uh, uh, it's only now in Yoruba, for example. I grew up believing that Eshu was Satan. I got afraid when I heard the word Eshu. In my mind, it's evil because I was taught that since the age of 4, and
Yes, but
it's taken me a long time to realize no, 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 it isn't. And I found out that Eshu is a moral God. It's a God that protects, that blesses your business, your family, your community. By worshiping it, you actually gives you protection. You know, and you shouldn't. And in fact, when you're cursing it, you're cursing yourself because it is something that's innately part of me as a Yoruba person. Because it talks about Olodumare, connection to my ancestors, and all of that. So
Mhm,
that has been it's only now that I'm now proud to say I am an issue worshiper, because
mhm, mhm.
before, when I thought about the way Christianity, and I actually saw books where Christianity said issue is Satan, and that, firstly, the church are refusing to even admit they said that. They are refusing to admit it, but I've got books of the very person, the name, everything. I have it. I have all the evidence. They can't hide. So
Yes, yeah.
that is something
I
that I think we need to address.
mhm.
Now, you're right in the way you said that now, and I will really say this. I will agree with you. The context of the African Christianity is something that, because of the European side, I don't focus on that too much. But we need to remember that because it's part of who we are. And thank you for bringing that on. I guess I'm trying to get that balance. So how do we look into that side anyway? What do you think?
No, it's sure we are discussing and we are trying to understand each other. But what I see, the debate in the social network is really radical. Some people are treating African Christian traitors. There are something, but uh, they they are addressing colonial Christianity. Can we say that Christianity is colonialism? Colonialism has used
Christianity.
Christianity
Mm,
as a tool.
mm, mm,
Even in Europe, the
mm,
way Christianity has been used against the women, for instance,
mm, mm.
uh,
Very
is
valid point.
something that is not uh,
Part of
maybe
Christianity.
is not maybe part of the message of the faith. So for me, we we uh, we have to find ways to stay African and
Mm-hmm.
stay whether you are African in an African religion or
Mm-hmm.
not. Take the, for instance, in Brazil, I'm connected to some Brazilians,
Same
and
here.
well, they use both.
They do.
They use both.
That's true.
They, for instance, I discussed with them. I told them, okay, my name is Lazarus. They, oh well, Lazarus. For us, it is uh, as you are a Yoruba, you understand Obalu,
Yes.
Aye,
Yes. Obalua. Yes.
Obalu.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So there are ways to connect. We are human beings. We cannot
Absolutely.
say that every faith, whether it's Indian, Asiatic, there is some wisdom in it.
Yeah.
And I don't want to be too long, but even the Pope Francis, uh, he has written a word on Amazonia, on the Indians of South America, and where, because he is from Argentina, he knows he says the problem is not to say natives from the South America has to be Christian. It's not the most important. The most important is the spirituality which is in this religion. So if the Pope today says that, we must understand that it is not the Pope of the 15th century who said, okay, you have to enslave these people because they have no souls. So the church itself is transforming,
Okay.
and we must see ourselves above all as human beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
And where there is spirituality, you can use it.
Okay.
So I know people.
Yeah.
It's my point of view.
Listen, it's very, very refreshing to have this discussion. And I always, me personally, I always like to explore things that I've not looked at. You have given me an interesting perspective to look at things in terms of Christianity and Africa. Particularly, I knew about it, but I guess because I knew that they didn't have any direct effective power on what Africans, largely in the western part of Africa and east and in fact all over Africa, are going through. Ethiopia as a Ethiopian Christianity hasn't got any influence on the Africans who are suffering, but the colonials have that control, and I guess that's how I look at it. But the spiritual side of it that you talked about is relevant, and I think if we as Africans can remember we created it, and maybe we can get that to build that into the structures that we do going forward. But the thing remains that it is important that our African deities are no longer abused and called names. We have to be respected, and the idea that the church put all of the African deities as heathens like that is not acceptable, and I think we need to address that. But of course, what you said now, we're not going to spend too much time on this because it's a big topic. But I'm really glad that you answered me, and thank you for taking it in the way it was intended. It wasn't to abuse you, the Christianity, but it's just to explain my journey. That doesn't necessarily mean that it's everybody else's journey, but it influenced my thinking. And I thank you for really
So,
giving me the opportunity to look at things from a slightly different point of view, although I'm still going to stay where I am with my issue. But thank you so much for that. And this is the kind of discussion that I think we need to have in our communities so that we can really find ways to solve the problems. We haven't solved it fully, but at least now there's a pathway now. It's making me think, okay, how can maybe we need to involve the Christian side on Africa more in this project, and then gradually weaken the colonial side of things, if you like, you know.
yes, I just in terms of periods, you know, this colonial Christianity, we can say it begins in the 14th, 15th century.
Yeah, 1458
But
thereabouts.
yes, yeah, imagine 1,500 years
Mm-hmm.
of Christianity in Africa,
Mm-hmm. Mm.
and you take 2 or 3 centuries,
Trees, yeah.
and you say this is Christianity. is what I want to draw attention
That's
on
correct.
and
It
say.
makes sense. You make absolute sense. And I get it. Honestly, the way you explain this, this is you really displayed your academia, because the angle in which you went at it, you made me look further at not just African Christianity, but the history of it. So
Mhm.
when you said throw it away, of course, my alarm bell was saying, no, we don't want to throw that away. But of course, you helped me to actually identify the particular one, which was you used the word colonial Christianity. That then opened the way for me to look at, okay, we're not going to throw the baby out with the bathwater. No, 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 no. We're going to keep it. Particularly the places where Africans believe in Christianity and the African way, that
Long
must
time ago.
not be destroyed. We need to
Mhm.
nurture and protect it. But the ones that have caused issues, now we can deal with that and that kind of thing. So yeah, thank you very much for that. Again, it's insightful. Um, I guess how are we doing for time? You got one more question before we go, because I know you will need to rush off, or should we wrap up?
Uh, well, it's 12 here,
Oh my God!
12
Listen,
a.
we need to stop. Thank you. We've been talking for a while. We'll do some more. Listen, I'm really grateful for the time you've given us. And even though we had to we did plan a time, but the time difference got in the way. But never mind. I'm
Yes.
grateful for the time you've given us in this podcast. We're going to share it. And listen, there's going to be more discussions.
Okay.
There are
No
more
problem.
talks that we're going to have. And I'm hoping that we can bring more panels. You're going to be part of a panel. We will be discussing Pan African issues and suggestions.
Mm.
And I'm hoping that our discussions is not just going to be discussions, it's going to actually lead to physical plans on ground in Africa. That's what
Mhm.
we are about. So, um, yeah, yeah. I'm grateful, Lazare.
Thank you.
Honestly,
Thank
you're
you.
my kindred spirit brother, and I am so proud that we've been able to have this discussion just like that. I did tell
Yes.
you at the beginning of the broadcast that when we go live, you're going to feel a certain electric energy, and I think we achieved that.
Yes.
And no, in no small part, uh, through the way you handled all the questions and the energy you put out for the people to really grasp the meaning of Pan Africanism. I'm really, really thankful for
thank,
giving us a time. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you to you, because you gave me the opportunity after James, the conversation with James Dibu
Yes,
to talk. So thank you, and we are together.
absolutely.
So
We
at
will
any
be. I mean,
time,
yeah, definitely, definitely.
yes.
Listen, I'm going to let you
Thank
get
you.
something to eat because it's 12 o'clock now, and you need to eat before you go out. Thank you for giving us a time. We'll have to do
Thank
this
you.
again. You take care now.
Allez,
Thank you.
Haché, Haché.
I share. Yes, I share. Thank you. Bye now. Thank you.
Bye,
Talk
bye,
soon. Bye bye.
bye,
Bye bye.
bye.
So you can drop off on your end, or I can.
Okay, okay.
You got it. Okay. Fantastic. So, ladies and gentlemen, there was a great interview, one of many, I hope, with Lazare, and of course James Debo, my brother. Thank you. Yeah, I see the, I see. Yeah, right back at you. Honestly, I'm really chuffed. I hope you guys felt that energy in the discussions. I really do hope you felt that energy. Um, he's speaking French. He's got a very strong French accent, but he has a grasp of English. I don't speak French. The fact that he even took on that discussion to speak in English for me is the measure of the man, and he's keen to his knowledge is no there is no doubt about the knowledge of this academic pan-africanist Lazare. Honestly, I'm blown away. I'm just saying it as it is, So, what I want to say to you all, when you're watching this, please share it. Every African needs to do this and share it. And I'm going to say tonight, he made me look at Christianity in a different way that I didn't do before. I thank you, Lazare. I really thank you, because I did not fully comprehend the magnitude, the size of African Christianity. I didn't consider it. But he made me see that tonight. And I'm happy to admit that. Now, yes, there's still the issue of what Christianity, the colonial Christianity has done, the damage it has done. We haven't quite solved that yet in terms of the answer, but one of the things that we will not allow to happen any longer is for for Christianity or Islam to continue to disparage African deities that have just as equal right to have meaning and give people purpose in their lives, particularly when they're doing what Christianity has done, and it needs to be respected. That is my standpoint. I will not shift from that position. But of course, I'm prepared to look at the possibilities, and of course, knowing fully well and being reminded that the African Christianity has been in existence for thousands of years, even before these 300 or 400 years of what we see now. So that's me. This is Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. I do hope you found this meaningful. Please do share this broadcast. It is really important that we have these meaningful discussions. We covered a wide range of issues from Burkina Faso, Mali, Niger, the Union, to the youth and how they can, work together and talk about that. We talked about free movement. We talked about trade. We talked about food. We talked about language, and of course, the last one, the very, very pertinent one. We talked. Well, before that, we talked about the organizations, and the interesting thing he talked about was when those unions, they are very good, but once we have start relying on foreign bodies to dictate to us what we should be doing and not doing, that's where we're having problems. There's other issues we will be talking about, but of course, finally, we talked about the big one, religion, and I learned something tonight. I'm happy to admit that I learned something. Perhaps I'll be a little bit less hard on Christianity, because I'll be taking into account the fact that it's actually African. It is from Ethiopia, and I do know this history, but I know that the issue around the colonial Christianity and the damage it has done is something that needs to be addressed head on. But we have to do it subtly. It's not. We haven't quite found that absolute solution. So perhaps it is making sure that the people. First thing is making sure that our African deities are respected. No ifs, no buts. That's the first thing. Then allowing people who wish to connect to that to connect. It is their right to do so. A true democracy in that respect. If they wish to, they must be encouraged and supported. And of course, those who wish to practice both, but knowing fully well that our African deities are no less important than the Christianity that the colonial Christianity talks about. And we need to make sure that we don't allow that put down to continue any longer. I think that's really important. But all in all, what did you think about this interview? I hope you found it interesting. I've learned a few things, and I'm not a person from academia. I'm very much rooted in, how can I put it, in the deep love for Africa, in the language that my grandma taught me. The language drives everything that I'm doing, because the language, Yoruba language, is powerful, and the need for our people to have a stable land where there's peace and tranquility, where our true essence as Yorubas, Omoluabi, we have great grace and wisdom, and the way we use our language, the poetry and the language, and how we use different words and how we say so many different things to give people ideas about how to lead a very good life, and all of those things. Omoluabi ethos, that is the driving force behind my clamor for building a viable Yoruba land, and of course the whole of Africa as well. Anyway, I'll stop there for now. I hope you found this of benefit. You are, of course, watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. It is late. It is 1:09 here. Thank you so very much for joining us. Leave comments, share it. I'm going to read a few comments from James Debo, my brother. He said, "Great, my brothers." He said he went to Fiji as well. So he was in Fiji. Lazare was in Fiji. Lazare messaged me from Fiji. That's how we connected. James Debo, I said, welcome. And he says, African spirituality is the essence. Absolutely, it is. And of course, part of African spirituality also the Christianity, because Christianity, or the foundation for Christianity, is indeed Africa. So we shouldn't forget that the issue that we have a major disagreement with is the colonial Christianity, and it's really important to emphasize that point. And finally, second to last, James, Cultural Illusion. Please go and subscribe to Cultural Illusion on YouTube also. Let us help each other. We need to grow our platforms. And he said, great interview. And right back at you, bro. Right back at you. Thank you so much. And also, he said, powerful. Thank you so much. I hope when you watch this broadcast, you watch it with an open mind. Listen intently to the great Pan Africanist, Lazare, Pan Africanist and academist. And it seems to be something of a tradition in his family. His father was also a writer and had some interactions with UNESCO that was very impactful. What researching, and we might get him to talk more about that to us later on. But of course, I'd like to find out more about his writings and articles and things like that, because there are a lot of things from what he said that I know we can make use of in this journey towards really freeing Africa. And a free Africa will be benefit to the entire world, including Europe. Let me say that again. A truly free Africa will be a benefit to the entire world, including Europe. I'll leave it at that. So thank you so very much. You've been watching Citizen AY, the platform where we speak truth to power. Do us a favor. Go ahead, subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Help us grow this platform. The journey is millions of miles ahead, but taking every single step relentlessly, we can get there in half the time. I want you to think about that. Before we go, I want to just tell you to go ahead and subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. How do you do that? Subscribe to Citizen AY on YouTube. Hit the notification button. Give us thumbs up. Help us reach more people. Thank you so very much. Have a pleasant weekend. I'll be back again tomorrow and we'll talk some more. And James, we will have more discussions. And please, we encourage all Pan-Africanists. It's time for us to begin to have meaningful, impactful discussions that will lead to concrete, organic action from the grassroots. The grassroots are where the solutions to African problems lie. The grassroots, not at the top of the tree, not at the top, the elites, like Lazare said. He's very, very right. That is my sense. That is my instinct. If you watch my programs, I've been talking about the people on ground, the sovereigns, the real people who own Africa are the people to whom the sovereignty belongs, which are the people, you and I. You have that power. Our vision is to wake you up to recognize that power, harness it to achieve a truly free Africa. We can achieve this together, collectively. And of course, I said it. A free Africa is a benefit to the entire world, including Europe. Thank you so very much. Have a pleasant evening. Thank you. Yes, you will. Absolutely, without a doubt. You said I was trying to keep that under wraps. You're definitely coming on, my brother. You're coming on. Thank you so very much. See you all real soon. Citizen AY signing off. Don't forget, subscribe to Citizen AY. Hit notification button. Give us thumbs up. Help us grow the platform. We need to help each other. Each one, teach one. We can achieve this together. We can achieve the Africa of our dreams collectively. Of that, I have no doubt. Thank you all. Have a pleasant weekend. Bye for now. Bye for now. Bye.